Hi, welcome to Support for Stressful Times, a weekly half-hour webinar where I do my best to give you some helpful tips from the world of focusing. Focusing, a method of awareness, a way of turning toward how you feel, including and especially how you feel in this moment. And there was a question in the chat about worry. Odile asked about worry. Feel free to ask other things in the chat that you'd like me to talk about today. But it's interesting about worry and anxiety because they are things we feel right now, but they're about something that's not here right now. A friend of mine said to me yesterday, what I like to remember is that anxiety is never about something real. Well, my anxious parts want to stand up and say, yes, it is real. It is real. The fire, the climate change, the racial injustice, those things are real. But the pictures that my anxious part puts into my mind of my own house burning and my own friends getting hurt, they might happen and they might not happen. And so there's an interesting thing that goes on where an anxious, worried part of me gives me pictures of what it's worried will happen as if they have already happened. And then my body reacts as if the pictures that I'm seeing are happening now. And that gives me stress, tension, and so on. So what I like to do is make a space between me and those scary images that my anxious part is showing me. So I acknowledge something in me is really anxious that might happen. And I am doing my best to prepare, but actually it isn't happening right now. I can tell that my body at this moment is safe, not too hot, not too cold, not hungry. So to have a clear head and a grounded body to prepare for the possibility of hard things happening, I need to not let myself be taken over by stressful emotions roused by my anxious, worried part. So here's my, I don't want to call it a formula. Here's my tip for any stressful emotion. And before I give you the tip, I'm going to say this. Our emotions are valuable. We need our emotions. I would never suggest that you push away your emotions or that you try to talk yourself out of them. That's not what we're doing here. The difference is whether you're present with your emotional states versus being taken over, overwhelmed by your emotional states. Your emotional states don't really want to overwhelm you, right? They would everybody inside you, if you want to speak of parts, everybody inside you wants you to be strong and able and clear and able to take care of things, right? It's like the drowning swimmer who grabs the rescuer by the throat. They don't really want to grab the rescuer by the throat. They're just feeling desperate. Okay, so this 5 words that I recommend is meant to let your emotions stay present, but not overwhelm you. And when your emotions are present, but they don't overwhelm you, you can get to know them better, you can explore them, you have a clear mind if action needs to be taken, and so on. So here are the 5 words. It's 6 words. Doing a little math this morning. Okay, here are the 6 words. I am sensing something in me. I am sensing something in me is worried about da-da-da. I'm sensing something in me is anxious. I am sensing something in me is scared. Very big difference between I'm scared and I am sensing something in me is scared. That's my tip. All right. Let's see if we had some other questions in the chat. Yes. Karen writes, I'm confronted again with the physical effects of tension and anxiety. Tension and anxiety affect our bodies. It affects my concentration. I get more anxious because of the worry that my intelligence is affected. Yes, it probably is. And so, Karen, let's try the magic 6 words. I am sensing something in me is anxious. When I do that, I feel a deeper breath come through my body. But I know that when I've been very anxious, I've had to do it a number of times. And the first time I do it, I notice no difference. So it's important to remember this is something you can repeat. And also that you don't have to feel calm and good in order to get a helpful effect from presence language, the 6 words. It's like first aid. It's something you pause and give to yourself when you can feel your body giving you distress signals. And think of it, when you call it the physical effects of tension, think of it as your body giving you a distress signal. I'm in trouble. I need you, your body says. I need you to come pay attention to me, to say, I know, I hear you. Today, where I live in Berkeley, California, near San Francisco, the air is clear. But for a whole week, we had dangerous air, and we probably will again. And when the air is dangerous, my body is giving me danger signals. I feel depressed, anxious, tense, like there's a threat around. And I can't change the air. So what do I do with those feelings? I say, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I know it's dangerous. And that helps. See what I mean? It doesn't change the air. But to be present, to be aware of ourselves, to be able to sense, yes, I'm getting that danger signal. I really hear you. Georgie asks, is there a difference between fear and anxiety? Yes, I think there is. I think anxiety is always about something that's not here right now, and that's not certain. We don't know. You can be afraid of what's here right now. There can be something in the room with you that's scary. So that's the difference. Yes. Nice. Khan says there's so much hate and ignorance in the country. There are people saying such stupid things. What do you say to people like this? You know, I haven't had the circumstance of actually being in a room with somebody like that. And I don't go on social media. I made the choice not to do that. So there's no place where I would actually encounter such a person. So I don't know from my own experience, but I think what I would say is, it sounds like you're very upset and distressed, and that you're concerned about something that's very important to you. Because empathy and listening is going to be the way to change the world. We can't first explain to people that their way of looking at the world is mistaken. We have to first hear that they are in distress. Now, that takes me to another thing I wanted to talk to you about today. I wanted to talk to you about being kind to yourself. What an important time this is for being kind to ourselves. And if you are like most people I know, the person who you're most unkind to is yourself. Those little things we say to ourselves when we make a mistake. What do you say to yourself when you make a mistake? Yeah? Do you say stupid? Or do you say, oh, that's not what I meant to do? So these inner harsh judgmental voices that are blaming us for various things, not being enough so-and-so, or being too such and such, or, right, perfectionism. Those are parts of us that are anxious. This is true 100% of the time. If you have an inner judgmental, critical voice, it is a part of you that is anxious. Now, we can wonder if external critical voices are also always anxious. Maybe. And if you feel critical of other people, is that coming from a place in you that's anxious? I feel like that's true of me. I'm worried about people like that. And a shift happens when we move from judgment and criticism to acknowledging that this need to control comes from anxiety. So I say to a part of me, might you be anxious? Might you be worried? Actually, worried works better because it's a little less extreme. You didn't do that right, it says. Oh, might you be worried about something? Treat our inner critics, our inner judges, with compassion for what they're worried about. And then just be kind. Say to your own self, oh, wow, you're going through such a hard time. This is hard. Yeah? I want to say it to you. You're going through a hard time. This is hard. Be nice to yourself. Be kind to yourself. And then you can put your hand on your heart, and with your hand you can remind yourself, let's be kind. We need to do what we need to do, right? There are things you're doing for your own life to take care of loved ones who you're responsible for, both people and animals. And sometimes they're really things you have to do, but you can do them. And you have more strength and ability to do them when you're kind to yourself and when you rest. Our body gives us signals, and among those signals are the need to rest and refresh, regenerate. You know, when the skies were smoky, it wasn't so easy because we really couldn't take a walk. My favorite way to refresh every day is to take a walk with my partner. But even though I couldn't take a walk, I could say, I really hear that longing for refreshment, that longing to do something kind and gentle for myself, a longing to rest. If you can't do it, you can hear it. You have a sense, you know, well, here's the thing, your body gives you signals. And some of those are requests. They may be as simple as requests for food and water, for refreshment, for sleep and rest, for having something interesting to do, for contact, for company with people. And probably right now, many of us are getting signals that we could use a hug. And we're not very easily able to get one. I'm lucky I've got somebody to hug that I live with, but not always possible. What the body is asking for is not always possible, but we can still say, I hear you. I know. Yeah, wouldn't that be great? Do you see what I mean about being kind? Because sometimes when we hear from the body a signal, a desire, a request, we respond the way the woman in the grocery store did. You know, you don't want that. No, you can't have that. I even saw her slap the hands of her little child. And then I watched another woman say, sweetie, I know you really want that, don't you? Sweetie, I know you really want that, don't you? That's what you can say to your beloved body when it longs for human contact and company and to go to a concert and dance with other people or whatever it is it's longing for. Yeah, I know, sweetie, you really want that. To say it with kindness. Yeah, that's one thing I really wanted to tell you today. Let's see. Yeah, the smoke is hard. A lot of people are saying in the chat that the smoke is hard. You know, I heard that people in Cape Cod, Massachusetts could smell our smoke from the West Coast. We're globally interconnected. There's a request for beauty. We need beauty, right? Beauty is a fundamental need. And where do you find beauty? Do you find it in music, in flowers, in art, in the faces of your loved ones? Yeah. In nature, Yeah, and there's so much in nature that regenerates us. I think we have a fundamental need for nature. And if you can't go out and be in it, then maybe at least look out the window. I'm so glad that since I left my office and came home, I get to sit right next to a window where there's green out there. But it's not, right? Looking out the window is not as ideal as going out there. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about today is extreme feelings like giving up, wanting to give up. It's enough, it's too much. It's gotten to the place where it's too much and I want to give up. It's gone on too long. Whatever it is, right? I mean, there's so much. And COVID and the pandemic is what we all share because we live in this world together, but we all share climate change. We all live in societies with people who have extreme views that don't make any sense to us. And so there's so many things that are going on that we all share that our poor bodies find very hard. I don't watch the TV news because there's a way that exaggerates, I believe, for me. I also don't go on social media, but I do read my local newspaper every day. And after I do, I have to pause and really be gentle with myself for the, oh my God, that's hard. Acknowledging what's hard is so important, but I'm talking now about that point where something in you feels like I've had it. It's too much. It's gone on too long. I'm too overwhelmed. There's too many things coming at the same time. But you know what? Although that feels like you've gotten to the end of your road, it's still a something in you. And it still matters for you to say, I am sensing something in me that is ready to give up, or that's had too much, or that's had it, that's overwhelmed. I am sensing a big something in me. I am sensing something in me that feels like all of me, that doesn't know how I can take any more of this. And the next thing to say is, and I'm acknowledging that. I'm acknowledging that. And really the key message that I like to give over and over again is that you have the capacity to have an inner relationship. That inner relationship can be one of kindness and of empathy and of compassion. And it means that anything you feel, you can say, something in me feels this way. And one reason you do that is that when something in you feels that way, there's you who can say hello. We have an inner relationship. There's I, and there's something. Something in me feels it's all too much. I am saying a gentle hello to the something in me that feels it's all too much. I'm pausing to locate where in my body I feel that. I'm saying, hello, I know you're there. And often just that much brings a relief, but we can go further. We can listen. There's some good and unique reason why something in you feels in that precise way. And you can sit with inner compassion and listen to the place in you that feels that way. Like my little animal, because he's got big ears. They're good for listening. Yeah? So, be kind to yourself. And one way to be kind to yourself is to turn toward the critical voices, the judgmental voices. Don't let them beat you up. I keep reaching toward my other animals. Excuse me a moment. So you have a critical voice that's coming in to say, you should be handling this better. You aren't doing enough for the election. You aren't being creative enough. You're eating too much, you're blah, blah, blah. It's got a lot of things it's worried about. So then you turn toward that part of you and say, oh, I hear you're really worried. There's something that is bothering you a lot that's getting you so worried. You want to tell me more about what you're not wanting to happen to me, what you're trying to protect me from? And what's really important here is that it's not actually criticizing you, it's criticizing something in you. So we also turn toward the criticized one inside us. And that's that part of you that carries the feeling of being beaten up or kicked around. If you find it hard to turn toward a critical voice because you don't like that inner critic, you're probably actually identified with the criticized one inside. And you can turn toward the one in you that feels bad about being criticized and say hello to that. It's more important than ever to be kind to yourself. And it's more important than ever to listen to yourself, to hear what's here. And I'm sad because I meet too many people who try to suppress or even shame their inner knowing, their inner signals. I can't feel that way. I can't allow myself to feel tired. Well, wait a minute. You do feel tired. And there may be something important that you need to do. Oh my gosh. I think about the firefighters here on the West Coast and how long they have to keep going. I'm so grateful to them and in awe of them. But for all of us, there's things we have to do. And you can still do those. Just because you acknowledge how tired you are, you can still do what you need to do. In fact, acknowledging how tired you are gives you a quality of refreshment. Whereas trying to suppress tired, tell yourself you're not tired, doesn't do it. Paula asks, how does one become disidentified with the criticized part? Yes, very good point. So you hear yourself saying, oh, it's right. I am a lazy person. I am a bad person. Right? And then you say, something in me feels that it's true what the critic says. Something in me feels heavy. The criticized part is often in the body. Something in me feels heavy, nauseous, like I am being beaten. It's the truth about me is that I'm bad. That's what the criticized one sounds like, but it also might not talk. It might just be a ugh kind of body feeling. So you put your hand there, you say, I am sensing. You say, hello, I know you're there. I'm with you. And those are the ways to disidentify. Yes, yes, that's right. Yeah. Oh, Haja, you can't be 78. You're amazing. A part says, I can't admit my age. And another part thinks I should do more. Yes. So hello to that. So Marianne reminds us that something in me is grieving is not really, it's an exception to the something in me. That is, grieving is not a feeling, it's a process. And so I am grieving. Grieving is here. Grieving is a whole body experience. And our bodies know how to do it. So we embrace grieving, allow grieving, surrender to grieving, trust grieving, and there's surely a lot of grieving going on. But the particular emotions that are part of grieving, we can say something in me. Something in me is sad, something in me is lonely, something in me is scared, and so on. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, Jan says, thank you for this discussion about the inner critic. Years ago, I was taught to respond with energy against it, and that never worked. No, it doesn't. Because when you counterattack the inner critic, counter-criticize, you're identifying with a different part. And then the method that Barbara McGavin and I have created, what we want to be is not any of our parts. Instead, we identify with a larger wholeness called self and presence. So in that larger wholeness, everything that's a part of you, including an inner critic, is like a child, and driven by its emotional state. And you can say, hello. Hello, I know you're there. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Norma says, it's also helpful to help with feeling overwhelmed by everything and being critical of myself for not feeling like I can rise up anymore. Yes, exactly. Be kind to yourself and be kind to that place in you that says, I don't think I can rise up anymore. Say, of course, to that place in you. Yes, I've been feeling so, she writes, I've been feeling so scattered and unable to stick with anything. I appreciate all the insightful and caring times you've shared with us. Yes. Yes, so good. So good. Yes. So grief is part of self and presence, yes. Grieving is a natural process. And as the whole being that I am, I get hungry, I get afraid, I love, I take care of what concerns me. Parts are another matter. But we'll have to talk more about that next week. I'm closing these weekly seminars, sadly, because I'll miss you. And I'm also looking forward to doing something new, something next. So we're bringing the weekly seminars to a close. We're going to meet one more time next week at the later time of day. I think it's one more time. Yeah, it's the end of September. Next week is the last Thursday of September. Isn't that right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you for being with me today. It's been so nice. Thank you for your kindness to each other. And take care. Bye for now.